course, I haven't spent a lot either. I still have.
She's pretty frugal. So
I still have the
good.
same couch that I had when we were first married.
And so throughout your lives, you've kind of given us a description of a little bit of synopsis of growing up and stuff. I did forget to ask you, what were some of your occupations that you have done throughout your life?
You might try my questions first,
Okay.
answers.
Okay.
After I graduated from high school, I went to a tax place, and they hired me. I hated that job because they had me do things that I didn't know how to do it. It was huge machines, and I only weighed 90-some pounds, and I couldn't even step clear down on it. And so after 2 weeks, I quit there. I got a job then at a bunkers cleaners. And I worked there only for a few months.
And how old were you?
Well, right after school.
Like at 18?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And
you said just a few months?
Mrs. Bunker liked me a lot. She taught me how to do all this, cleaning of clothes. And then one day she came to me and said, I'm going to teach you how to sort these clothes that come in. They will be dirty clothes, and summer had just gotten over with. And so all of it was like wool clothes, wool, everything, wool. And that night when I went to bed, I woke up and here my face was just bright red. It was red wherever my skin was showing. Went to the doctor immediately and found out that I was allergic to dirty wool. And so I had to quit that job. The doctor says, you can't do what you're doing because it's just not working. And then I got a job with the telephone company, and I stayed with the telephone company for 12 and a half years.
And you were an operator?
I started out as an operator, and then they taught me long distance. Everything is so different now than it was when I first started with the telephone company. And then the chief operator came to me and said, you have the potential of being a service assistant. So I did that for a while, and then Northwestern Bell Company brought in some people because they were going to change the telephone company, the way it was working, to what they called key pulsing. And so they trained me first on key pulsing, and my job was to train all the other girls, and there were 35 of them. And so I taught them how to do that. Then Dick announced that he was going to go into the ministry. So I found out that the same company, telephone company, was in Norfolk, Nebraska, where he was going. So I transferred over there and worked there for 4 years. And that's just about it.
You've been working at home and taking care of the kids. Mine, I guess...
What was your first job as a little guy?
Carrying papers. I carried papers for a long time. Des Moines Register. And
was that every day?
Every day at 5 o'clock I got up and delivered papers. And then on Sundays, then we delivered probably about 70 or 80 papers, and they were big. And then I sold papers on the street corner. And then I got a job at the we had a greenhouse right across the street from us, so I transplanted tomatoes quite a bit. And then we started our own bike shop, and we
Who's
bought,
we?
my brother and I,
Which brother?
Rod, and so we bought out this bike shop and had about $2,000 worth of stuff, and so we built bicycles. And we rode bicycles, and we did all kinds of things with bicycles. So it was really good. And then finally decided that, oh gosh, what did I do? I worked at the grain elevator after we got married, and then I went to DeVry Technical Institute, took that course for about 3 years.
You worked for Klinger Construction.
Yeah, we built churches, and so
So
I've done about everything.
When you went to that technical school for 3 years,
Well, it was a correspondence course coming out of Chicago.
and what were you learning how to do?
Well, we had to build a television set. We had to build an oscilloscope. We had to build a vacuum tube voltmeter. We had to build a radio. We did all of those things as far as electronics is concerned. But after that,
And that was where I was involved quite a bit because what are those little things?
resistors. Yeah, the resistors.
They would be sending out all these resistors. Well, they had different color codes on them, and he is colorblind. So I would sit up with a card table and sort them all out so that he could just pick up the ones that it says for him to use. And he built a really nice television set. In fact, we gave it to a minister and a wife.
They used it for years.
They didn't have one.
Yeah. But anyhow, then we had some apartment buildings, and I told the preacher I'd decide that when I was going to be a preacher, if I was going to be a preacher, by the time I'm 30 years old. So I went down to the preacher and I said, I don't think I've really been called. And he said, well, why don't you go, and if the Lord doesn't want you there, that you won't be there. And so that's how we went to Bible college, and then spent 4 years in Sioux City ministering, 15 and a half years in Unionville, Missouri, and then we started a church in Columbia, Missouri, and we did that for about 2-3 years, and then the college wanted me to come up and help them raise money, so I became the director of development at Nebraska Christian College. And so I was in business, and I preached for 25 years, and then I'm back in business again and liked it all.
Was there a job that you had mentioned that you really didn't like a job? Mom, you had mentioned that about being at the tax place.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dad, did you have a job that you really did not like?
I don't think so. It was. I liked everything I did. Still liking everything I do, so that's good.
Okay.
He did some foolish things at some of his jobs. We were dating when he worked for a farmer, and I remember Bruce telling him, don't go up to Vera's tonight, because we were supposed to have a date, but it was just like a blizzard out. And Mother said, well, go to bed. He can't come up. It's a blizzard. The roads were terrible. I said, well, you don't know Dick. So anyway, I waited up, and probably about 10 o'clock, he got stuck, and the neighbor helped to get him out, and he got down to my folks', and Mother, of course, fixed him a great big lunch, and Dad said, well, Dad had plowed out an area.
Going down to the next corner, so then I went north.
And then go to north.
Anyhow, the guy I was riding on the back of the tractor when he pulled me up there to his place, and I just had on I didn't have any overshoes on, just light pants on, light jacket. But the guy on the tractor, he was all bundled up, but he got sick and got a bad cold because he came out and helped me. But I went up and took the chains off up by Plena and then went around. But I had to be to work the next morning, so it was a long night. But we got there.
But I was worth it.
Yeah.